All right, how was that one, folks? Welcome to the Miami International Science Fiction Film Festival, and we're going to be talking about the film called The Way of Gilgamesh. The Way of Gilgamesh. We have with us today Mr. Jason Lee Crum, coming to us all the way from, is it Portland, Oregon? Somewhere in Oregon, I think, right? It is Oregon, isn't it? Isn't it Oregon? Isn't it? I think we'll find out real soon. Jason's gonna fill us in where his film is about Gilgamesh, who convinces his half animal friend Enkidu to leave the peaceful grassless lands and fight with him for the greater glory of the kingdom. And when Enkidu is eaten by a mysterious snake, Gilgamesh must forsake all and cross the sea to the land of the dead to save his friend. We know this story, do we? No, no. Well, let's bring on Jason, and he'll tell all. What's up, bud? How you doing?
Hey, Troy. I'm doing well, thanks. Yes, I'm in Oregon.
Yes.
Eugene, Glenwood, Oregon.
That's right, Eugene. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Nike
good to see
down.
you. It's good to see you. It's been quite a while. In Nisi alumni, it's good to have you.
Yeah. I want to get back to Miami someday for sure. I mean, everybody wants to go to Miami, so.
Yeah, you had a real good time. Had a real good time.
Yeah,
And
it's.
I really appreciate your work there, and you helped us out actually at the festival. You helped us. You hung around and helped us pack up, and we had a
Yeah.
good time.
Well, I'm, as a one-man show, I if I'm not doing something, I don't feel engaged.
Sure. Well, listen. So tell us about this one here, the Way of Gilgamesh. How did you come about wanting to make this film?
Well, the Fable of Gilgamesh is sort of like a recent addition to the classical tome of stories. It was rediscovered in the late 1800s from shards. So the little bit at the beginning of the movie about it being created from shards of clay is actually true. It was discovered by a British archaeologist, rediscovered. It had been lost to classical literature in like the 4th century,
Sure.
and they were looking for it. So they found Gilgamesh and they put it together from shards. So I've read some of, there's different versions of it, different translations. Some are pretty literal, others are poetic. But what it attracted me to the story was the hero's non-heroic nature, in a sense, affected by the death of his friend. That stood out to me.
Yeah. Okay. And how has the film been received? Has it been in any other festivals as yet, or were we lucky enough
Um,
to just receive one of the
well,
first?
this is the first festival. It's gone out to some other festivals. I showed it a private screening for a full theater. It was received very well. So yeah, I was really happy with the reception, and it played well. And so I'm just sending it out, but I'm like right in the middle of it. I went straight into another production from that.
Good,
And so
good.
I
That's the way
I
to do it. Yeah.
yeah, well, I've always felt that the best promotion is to do better and more work.
Right. Right. Okay. Understood.
Yeah.
And what are you working on? You said you're working on another one right now. What is that?
It's called Song of the Sylvan. It's called Song of the Sylvan King, and
Hmm.
it is an epic. It's the heroic gathering together of a band of unlikely misfits who go on a quest to, well, but this is fate. It has sort of elements of like Gladiator, where the hero's driven by fate rather than driven by desire. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it has elements of Wizard of Oz and also elements of Game of Thrones. So
That's positive. That's positive.
yeah. So I'm just, I'm building on sets. I've got, 30, 40, 50 different animals and
That's right.
Uh,
For folks to know, you produce much of the production yourself, and you build. It's all practical, pretty much all practical effects. You're
It's so, yeah, basically practical. Sometimes I gloss it up a little. Yeah, and I do the whole thing. I
yeah,
build the sets. I build the characters. I do the voices. I do the editing. I move the camera. I buy the sound elements and the music. And buy
sure,
elements is what I've
sure.
gone to. But yeah, just because of scheduling, because of money, and also just because of it just gets to be easier just to do it than than
Right,
than to
right,
try to.
right, right.
Plus, where I am, it's not Los Angeles. It's not Miami. It's not a place where you can just snap your finger and all of a sudden there's a bunch of industry professionals.
Yeah, what is the population of Eugene? It's
Well, Eugene has
not
a
a large
population
place.
of about 160,000, and then there's like 100,000 next door. It's the second biggest city in Oregon, though.
Sure.
And U of O's here, so I don't know. The sports. It's about sports.
Yeah,
At this point.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah, I've seen the coastline around that latitude. It's beautiful over there.
oh, it's very pretty. Oh yeah, no, Oregon's a nice place. It's
Yeah,
very nice. Yeah.
cool stuff, man. Cool. So can we play the trailer?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, hold on a sec.
See these walls that protect you? I, Gilgamesh, the king. I made these walls. I, Gilgamesh. Do they not gleam? I break open the snowy high passes. I dig wells on the edge of the desert. I fight the lawless tribes to save you. Who can say? Like Gilgamesh, I am king.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So you made a lot of those. You played in a couple of those parts.
Yeah, I did both the parts. I animate the puppets. I'm the only person ever on the set.
Literally the definition of a zero budget production.
Yes, it is in a sense. It is. But then it's like, okay, how many thousands of hours,
Of
So
course.
yeah, but it is zero budget. And see, that's what it really comes down to, because I chased budgets for a long time, and I even at one point was kind of there, and it's
Mhm.
just like my personal finance and personal stuff just got to the point where I couldn't do that anymore. The other thing is I got to the point where I couldn't. It's hard to make decisions. Like I was in LA for years, not tons of years, maybe 4 in total. But people I knew that were actors, they never got to make an acting decision. They never got a part, and if they got one
Mhm.
part, it just looked happy. When they saw a puppy. You know what I mean? So I'm
Wow.
thinking, okay, well, maybe this is little, hopefully it'll build, but I get a chance to like make a lot of decisions, make those
Yeah.
decisions, place
Yeah.
the camera. It costs a lot to learn that. And then I go, well, in this day and age, niche is real. Niche is real.
Mhm.
just because it's some wacky guy, that's a brand.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, that's all about independent film. You make what you want, you know, and it's all about also, you know, if you want to make money with this, you've got to make something that is going to have broad appeal. So that it
Right,
sells.
right,
So,
right. And that for me is the content. That for me is the content, you know. And for me, what I'm trying to put across is something that's, in a sense, it's kind of 80s. It's kind of that 80s world where everybody had their place in a sense, and nobody was really the good guy, nobody was the bad guy. Even the heavy kind of had a funny line and a turnaround, you know. So ET or something like that, you know, that you know, so that to me is how I'm going to try to go against like this kind of Netflix aesthetic of like, you know, stuff that I can't do anyhow. So,
yeah.
you know,
Let's take a quick 2-second, 2-minute resets. 2-minute reset.
okay,
Be right back, folks.
okay.
Little advertisement for you.
Lundi 15 janvier, 9352e jour du gouvernement Byoki. 9352 jours d'une paix totale, assurée par notre président. Le monde a perdu sa saveur, mais les gens semblent en sécurité. À quel prix ? C'est comme si je m'étais réveillé. Je leur ferai payer. J'arrive.
Okay. Oh man, that last one. Would you believe that's actually a film? It's a commercial. It looks like a totally commercial, and but it's a film. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I was hoping because it was making things disappear.
I interviewed the guy early this week, and I said, "Man, you put that up on Amazon, people are going to buy it like hotcakes."
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think the line between, you know, what's real and what's false and what you see in front of you. I mean, I've gone to like touch things to, you know, make them go back, you know, even though it's not on the screen, you know, you hit the backspace on the reality.
Wow. So let me ask you a couple other questions. We want to know a little more about you and what you think about when it comes to science fiction. But what was some of your favorite sci-fi shows this past 2024?
Um, Well, I'm not a big media person. I'm not a big media person. I'm pretty much in a bubble, and especially when I. Start to work on stuff. So I'm really not. I'm not a person to ask about like what's going on in the world.
We're
You
going to
know,
have to make that a mandatory piece to be accepted in the festival.
I know. It's like, look, it's like, what have you
Because
looked at?
we want your opinion
Okay,
on a lot of
okay,
things.
okay. What I have, this is my science fiction. It's called
Please,
After London, okay? And
after London.
it's After London, and it's like the first dystopic novel perhaps ever written. It was written in like maybe like 1860 or something. And it's about um uh because of overpopulation, the for some vague reason, the population has crashed in England, and it's a begins with a long description of like the forests coming back to uh, cover England
Is,
with forests again. And then
is
it's
this
sort of,
by Richard Jeffries?
yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it sometimes that's heralded as the first, dystopic science fiction book, because it's sort of like it was written in sort of an answer to like deforestation, even going on in England then.
I've heard of this. Yes, this was written over
Yeah,
100 years ago. It was
yeah,
written actually in 1911. 1911,
right, right. And
right
the thing is,
before World War One.
yeah. And I guess that would lead into to me saying that, well, what I see in science fiction today, I mean, and I don't, like I can't, claim to be an expert, but it seems to me that science fiction has become more about morality, more about the afterlife, not about science as much. It's almost become like religious writing. While what's going on in science today, it's sort of hard to know exactly what are the boundaries of science. Where are genetics at? What can we do exactly?
Well,
Do you know what I'm saying?
I think it's very, very easy, and the answer is we can do anything and everything, but will we do the right thing?
Right, exactly. Everything, and so that's not, there's no defining limit to that. So
Right.
the defining limits are the limits of morality, the
Yep.
limits of just what the character thinks is right or wrong,
Right.
when there is no finite edge to right and wrong in the science, because it's so powerful and it's so indefinite, you
Right.
know
Right.
so I mean, I think classically, if you look at science fiction like Forbidden Planet, Star
Right.
Trek and that stuff, it's kind of like, wow, look at this cool spaceship, and we're going someplace, and it's like it might as well be on an English sailing ship. It kind of, then the spaceship gets all worn out, it gets all rusty, and the whole thing kind of turns around where they start to question where it is they're going, you
Right.
know? And so now it seems today like science fiction is the place where the future is more about morality. Will we make the right decision with this power or not? That seems like what is going on.
So how do you think we've been doing so far?
Um,
How do you think?
well, poorly. I think it all goes back to sort of like, even in our tradition of the Bible, the forbidden knowledge and the snake. It's like when I see science, when I see that ability, those you're talking about, that unlimited ability to make things happen,
Mhm.
that's tied in to basic morality, basic sort of like disconnection from
Right.
natural systems, and so I think it's ironic in science fiction. They're always like we're always going further and further away, only to try to get back to that garden. And that is really an interior space, and
Mhm.
that's sort
Mhm.
of like
Mhm.
the basic dysfunction of pretty much all science fiction, you know?
Yeah, I could tell you that I remember some of the old Star Trek shows, you know, the ones with James Kirk, and I remember there was some backstory. If it wasn't that, maybe it was Next Generation. It was so long ago. But the backstory was, you know, if you did too many tours out in space, you know, it really messed with your head, and you at some point you really need to get back home on Earth, you know, just to relax and be human again, you know, back to Earth. I want to say that there were some people that couldn't stay in space for long. In other words, they after a year, a 5 year tour, then they would, you know, go back to Earth, and that was it. They wouldn't do it anymore. Some people made a career out of it and did, you know, 4 tours, 5 tours, whatever. But a lot of people didn't do it over, you know, more than one tour because it was so life changing.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that there's the theme of going off on, onto the new planet because it's like that reflects you more than Earth does, and that would be the real reason to stop
Yeah, yeah,
becoming unmoored.
man, pretty. Whew, my goodness. So, well, listen, Jason. You know, thank you so much for coming on board and telling us about your film, The Way of Gilgamesh, and thank you so much for telling us more about sharing, you know, yourself,
Oh, thank
your
you. Yeah,
sci-fi
yeah.
background, you know,
Yeah.
from
It's
ancient
great.
Mars. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we look forward to seeing more of your content and keep us in the loop.
Will definitely, Troy, and thanks for the time and keep up the hard work. We really appreciate it. It makes a huge difference.
Thanks so much.
People who are doing stuff. So thanks so much. Thank you again. And I'm gonna make it back to Miami one way or the other, and I'm just working hard.
Awesome, awesome. Stand by, okay? Don't
I
leave.
will.
Stand by.
Okay.